Hello, and welcome back to our Advanced Squad Leader tutorial series. Presently, we are starting to talk about entrenchments and fortifications. We're going to categorize them differently than the rulebook, however. Part 1 is going to deal with those things that can help the defender by giving him protection. Basically, we'll be dealing with shell holes, foxholes, and trenches. Part 2 of the series is going to deal with pillboxes. Part 3 is going to deal with those things that slow down the attacker. Basically, landmines, both anti-personnel and anti-tank, roadblocks, barbed wire, and anti-tank trenches. Booby traps were covered in a previous video. Shell holes are depicted on the board as brown splotches. They can also be created during gameplay when an FFE concentration or aerial bombardment attack of 150 or higher results in a KAA. A shell hole presents no line of sight hindrance or obstruction. The conditional TEM of a shell hole is +1. It only applies to infantry, not manhandling a gun or boat. Infantry may enter a shell hole hex at a cost of 1 MF or 2 MF. If they expend 1 MF, then they may be subject to FFMO penalties. If they spend 2 MF, they receive a +1 TEM for the shell hole. This positive DRM may not be added to any other TEM of the hex. Foxholes can be placed in any terrain except paved, sunken, or elevated roads, bridge, runway, marsh, crag, stream, water obstacle, rubble, or building. Unlike shell holes, they are placed deliberately and are designed to give your troops cover, so their statistics are slightly better. This particular foxhole can contain up to 3 squads and 4 single-man counters. The TEM of this foxhole is +2 for all direct fire and on-board mortar fire. This +2 is cumulative with the -1 airburst for trees, so an on-board mortar hit against a unit in a foxhole in the trees has a net DRM of +1. The TEM versus off-board artillery in overruns is a +4 for the foxhole. As far as entering a foxhole, during the movement phase, it costs a unit the movement factor costs of entering the hex where the foxhole is, subjecting the unit to first fire attacks, and then an additional +1 to enter the foxhole. During the rout phase, the movement cost of entering the hex and entering the foxhole can be combined, that way the unit in the foxhole does not face interdiction. A foxhole is not a line of sight hindrance or obstacle. However, if the hex containing a foxhole has a hedge or wall hex side, the unit inside the foxhole cannot see across that hex side and cannot be seen across that hex side, unless the units are adjacent. Tracked vehicles suffer no penalty when entering a foxhole hex. The number of foxholes shown in the order of battle of a particular side is shown in the number of squads worth of foxholes which the side starts with. So, for example, if the OB says 8 foxholes, the owning player can place 8 single squad foxholes, or any combination of 1, 2, and 3 squad-sized foxholes, as long as it does not exceed the number of foxholes given, which in this case would have been 8. The only 5/8 counter that can be placed in a foxhole is a mortar, and it has to be dismantled to enter the foxhole or to leave it. Foxholes can be placed during the game through entrenching, which was covered in one of our previous videos. Unlike our next fortification, the trench, which can only be placed during setup. Trenches may be placed in any terrain except paved, sunken, or elevated roads, bridge, runway, marsh, crag, stream, water obstacle, rubble, or building, and may not occupy the same location as a foxhole. A trench may never hold more than 3 squads and 4 single-man counters. Any counter may start under a trench counter, but the only 5/8 counter that can be removed from a trench during play is dismantled mortar. Any vehicle under a trench marker is considered hull down, but it cannot change vehicle covered arc and it cannot expend a start movement point. The trench has a +4 TEM for off-board artillery and a +2 DRM for onboard mortars and all direct fire. The cost of entering a trench from other than a connecting trench is the cost of the terrain of the hex entered +1 to enter the trench. The cost of entering a connecting trench is 1 MF unless it goes uphill or through smoke, in which case it costs 2. The cost of entering a connecting trench is 1 MF unless it goes uphill or through smoke, in which case it's 2. Units moving under a trench are never subject to FFNAM or FFMO penalties, snapshots, interdiction, or minefield attacks. know the terrain in the hex affects troops moving through a trench, and finally, units may non-assault move in a trench and stay concealed. Wheeled vehicles and half-tracks may not enter a trench hex at all. Fully tracked vehicles may enter the trench hex, but they must pay full cost for terrain, and they are subject to bog. This concludes our video on shell holes, foxholes, and trenches in Advanced Squad Leader. Our next video will be on pillboxes and bunkers. If you found this video useful and you enjoyed it, like us on YouTube and subscribe to our channel. Also, please check out our website at www.jndhobbies.com for all the news about Advanced Squad Leader and the rest of the gaming world. And like always, thanks for watching and take care.